A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing.
Good morning, Bucknutters. What a day it is. What a day yesterday was. It is Thursday, February 8th, 2018. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change. If you're an Ohio State athletics fan, yesterday was one of those days. The day began with a commitment from Nicholas Petit-Frere, the number one offensive tackle in the country. Not number two, number one. And the nightcap was Ohio State's biggest win in basketball. I got to go back to Odin and Conley might have been in the mix. So what a day it was. However, today we are focused on the recruiting side of things. Yesterday was National Signing Day. Ohio State finished with the number 2 class in the country. Steve Wiltfong, Director of Recruiting for 24/7 Sports, is still in Nashville, 24/7 Sports headquarters, where he was engineering incredible coverage yesterday. Steve, I owe you an apology. I said on our show a couple days ago, I didn't even talk about Javontae Jean-Baptiste. I thought that ship had sailed. And I expressed serious doubt Nicholas Petit-Frere would be in the mix. You, on the other hand, had told me throughout to be cool and calm, and the Buckeyes had a shot, and you were right. Talk about why you felt that way, and then maybe put in perspective how the Buckeyes finished with the number 2 class, and in your rankings, the number 1 pound-for-pound class.
Well, for Javontae Jean-Baptiste, first I just want to say that when CBS acquired Scout, we got an opportunity to work with some really, really good guys on the Scout side. And Brian Doan, no one does a better job of staying on top of the kids in the New Jersey area from top to bottom than Brian Doan. And him and I were on the phone every day comparing notes on Javontae Jean-Baptiste. And Ohio State, they were the favorite, then they faded, and then they became the favorite again, and then they faded some, and then they got him. But here's the deal. People were trying to report that Ohio State at one point wasn't recruiting him, and that was, for lack of better words, bullshit. They wanted the kid. And it was just a recruitment that ebbed and flowed, and Nebraska almost got him. Texas A&M was intriguing. So Ohio State recruited that kid, brought him in on an official visit, and then ultimately got him to commit to them. And even though Doan and I crystal balled him to Ohio State on Tuesday, it still wasn't a done deal, and Ohio State had to recruit him all the way to the end. And so it was a terrific job by their last 2 commits were Greg Schiano was the lead recruiter on them, and his prowess, his ability to stay on top of recruits and talk with them and communicate with them in a way where they left each phone conversation thinking Ohio State was the best option for them was terrific. And those are 2 different kids. I mean, Nicholas Petit-Frere is a high academic kid from Tampa Berkeley Prep in Florida, who I still believe they had to beat Notre Dame for. And, our Florida readers were kind of scoffing down the stretch when I was reporting Ohio State or Notre Dame. And then for Javontae Jean-Baptiste, he didn't take off until late in the process because he had some things he had to work on. And he's a guy that maybe needs a redshirt year, but hell, he can rush if you can rush the passer, you can maybe find a niche early. But and he's got a shot to be one of the best pass rushers in the Big Ten coming there off the edge when it's all said and done, especially when you think about what Mick Marotti and those guys can do with them, and then they're going to coach their guys up there. And, hey, Greg Schiano's staying. Who reported he was leaving? Are we holding people accountable? Did he change his mind? I mean, what do you think happened there? But anyway, it was a hellacious close. Nicholas Petit-Frere, recruiting is a relationships deal, and he went to the school. Nicholas Petit-Frere went to the school where he had the best relationship. And I read on the Notre Dame board, how he didn't make an academic decision, and it's bullshit. I hate seeing that. I mean, let's be honest here. Nicholas Petit-Frere if football wasn't in the equation, would have been accepted into the University of Notre Dame. And so he puts a lot of pride into his academics, and it's just a cop-out message board deal when you lose a recruiting battle for people to say that. And Notre Dame had a terrific day on the trail yesterday too. But Nicholas Petit-Frere, he saw an opportunity for himself. When I talked to him, I'm sorry, I'm getting scatterbrained here, but went from sleeping 2 hours a night to getting 9 last night. And I don't know if I fell asleep, I just passed out. But anyway, Petit-Frere, the first time I ever talked to him, he was looking for a school that gave him the best combination of both, academics and football. He wasn't making a purely academic decision. If he was, probably goes to an Ivy League school, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
But he wants the combination of football, the best football he could get, because he wants to play at the highest level. He is a football player, but he's also recognizes that, hey, maybe I won't play in the NFL, or you know, I got to do something, or I have a long life to live after I play in the NFL, even if I play 12 years in the NFL. So he wanted the best combination of both, and he found that at Ohio State, where they've had every school has brilliant people there, you know. So I always roll my eyes at that he didn't make an academic decision. But the relationships at Ohio State made him the most comfortable. Ohio State crushed that last official visit with him, and it was no surprise to me that they got him. I didn't know if it was going to be Notre Dame or Ohio State until the day before signing day. I thought it could have gone either way. But recruiting is a relationship-driven deal, and when something's close, you're oftentimes going to go with the relationship. But on the flip side, Patrick Surtain, he made, in my opinion, a business decision, because I bet he had a better relationship with LSU than he did Alabama. However, sounded like, and I should say with his recruiter, because I caught wind Wednesday morning that Surtain told LSU that he had a better relationship with the players. So I just kind of crossed myself up. It comes down to relationships, whether it's on the coaching staff or recruits, players in the locker room. People are going to go where they feel the most comfortable with the people. And I think that Nicholas Petit-Frere and his family and his coach trusted the people state more than it has, checks the boxes on the football field from that development standpoint, and then it checks the box academically with the Real Life Wednesday and the things Ohio State does there. And hey, maybe Notre Dame losing their offensive line coach. Maybe Nick Petit-Frere said, hey, I'm not as certain about the development on the O-line there as I now am at Ohio State. Who knows what detail it was. Ohio State, they were in it for the kid from the very beginning. I remember posting on the front row back in the summer, because he was a name not really talked about at the time, that Ohio State was recruiting him as hard as any player on the board. That was before he was ranked in the top 10 nationally. The Walker Little rise in this class. Walker Little was our number one player in the country last year for 24/7 Sports, but going into the summer that year, you learn. But Ohio State, they knew about him. They were recruiting him as hard as anyone from start to finish, and it paid off on signing day. And Ohio State, for the second year in a row, signs pound for pound the best recruiting class in the country according to 24/7 Sports.
Yeah, much closer this year. I believe Georgia was 0.6 behind, but still second place is second place. When it comes to Nicholas Petit-Frere, I guess the reason I wasn't put it this way, it's a credit to the kid that his recruitment, as someone who has access to all you guys as reporters, even off the record, no one really knew what he was doing. That's really rare. I don't care how tight the lips are on recruitment. There's usually a good vibe by the time they commit. I didn't get that from anybody that I spoke to. Secondly,
well, I don't know if his mind was made up. I think we understood where it was at. Like, we always said Ohio State was in it. They were. And then I think the last couple of weeks we said it was Ohio State or Notre Dame, and I believe that's what it was. So I think but the reason why we didn't know which one it was is because I don't think Nicholas Petit-Frere knew. So
that's what I'm saying. But usually they know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying maybe the reason I wasn't able to get my mind around it is he's almost one of those too good to be true prospects. Academically, anyone who heard him interviewed yesterday, I mean,
he's a pro.
I would let him do my taxes. I don't even know he knows anything about accounting. Secondly, if you watch the tape, he is a mean SOB. There's
no doubt.
That, I mean, seriously though, when people say that's a classic, cliche, oh, he's a if you watch the tape, he is literally pancaking guys 20 yards up the field when they're almost out of the play. So the idea that he's cerebral and a nice guy and can't flip the switch, that's toast. I'll tell you who he reminds me of. Body type-wise, he reminds me of Tyron Smith. Now, I realize that's a lofty comparison. He's a left tackle for the Cowboys in that.
I think he's taller than Tyron.
They're about the same exact size, but he's also, there's no fat on their body. They look like they go out and get you 15 boards in a basketball game. And secondly, they're athletes. They're not adding fat. He's not going to be adding a bunch of fat. The idea of Nicholas Petit-Frere in Ohio State's program with Mick Marotti, I mean, I don't want to – you want to knock on something here, but I just don't see any bust potential in the guy. And even just the smile he had at the end, man, that is a Magic Johnson $1 million smile. What a coup. And I'm sorry people don't want to hear this. It sounds like sour grapes. Comparing Nicholas Petit-Frere and Jackson Carman, I don't even want to hear it. There's no school, I don't care what you tell me. If Dabo Swinney could trade right now, he'd do it. So that's just my opinion, and we will move on.
But with Petit-Frere, he's such a pro. I mean, the thing, he was so genuine. Like, he genuinely appreciated all the schools that recruited him. And sometimes you go to the opening or you go to the Army Bowl or the Under Armour game, and these kids feel like they deserve all the stuff they're getting there. And they're not a please and thank you person, and they don't acknowledge the waiters and the waitresses bringing them the stuff. Like, I stand off to the side and I see it, and even like some of the schools that offer them scholarships, they don't appreciate that they took the time to evaluate them and offer them a full ride to their school because they're not considering them. But Nicholas Petit-Frere, he is a very alert individual, and that's also why he was able to keep his recruitment close to the vest, is because I don't think he wanted to offend any of the schools that were recruiting him and spending time on him. And I think he appreciated all the conversations he had with all the coaches, and it wasn't lost on him the opportunities he had to play at even schools outside his top five. And so you saw that, you guys got a taste of that yesterday, but interviewing him a couple times, like, he really had the pretty standard answer of just, his go-to line was, well, I'm just so thankful. And so you wouldn't get anything out of him, but you would leave the conversation saying, well, I actually think he really is thankful. So it's not, he's guarded, but, or I don't even know if he was guarded, but it's just, I do find that he was really thankful for everything that he was able to earn through the process. And at Ohio State, he will carry himself very well and make the Buckeyes fans very proud of him.
Let's not forget that marketing for the Buckeyes goes on well after they leave campus. So this is a guy who will be giving interviews and performing at a high level for a very, very long time. I mean, you certainly don't want to, like I said, you don't want to jinx a kid, but the combination of his smarts with his physical gifts, his upbringing, where he's chosen, Mick Marotti, et cetera, he's about as solid an investment of a football player for the next 15 years as you can make right now. Truly incredible. I want to talk about some other superlatives from the class. Like you said, it did break the record, highest per prospect average.
It didn't break
right?
It didn't break the Ohio State set the record last year. Last year's class was but it was number one pound for pound again this year. Steve,
it's hard to keep it together when you break records like this and you're number one pound for pound every year. I'm sure you can understand how that's hard to keep together. But the guys I want to talk about, what I love is that let's assume that Nicholas is a left tackle. They solidified left tackle, center, right tackle, quarterback, running back, receiver. There really wasn't a major – I mean, the defensive tackle haul was legendary. Just your general vibe on the class, obviously it's a supreme class, but over the time of the recruiting process? Are there a couple guys in the class that you like a little bit more than everybody else and you think really will become super studs in Columbus?
Yeah, well, the guy you didn't mention is Jeremy Ruckert. He's another pro.
Sorry, my fault.
Talking to the guys at the Polynesian Bowl. So I'm a tie goes to the Polynesian guy because I think they're team players. They're always great kids. They're always hard workers. And I just never see any bullshit around any of the Polynesian kids that we cover. Jeremy Ruckert goes to the Polynesian Bowl and impressed all the Polynesians with the way he carries himself and conducts business. Jeremy Ruckert was the first one to breakfast every morning, the first one on the field at the Polynesian Bowl for practice every day. And so he is a pro, and he is a grinder, and football is really important to him. And he's a tremendous receiver. Dominated at the opening finals, was the best player on the field one day at the opening finals in the summer. 6'5.5", 240 pounds. I watched him be able to block Micah Parsons in a one-on-one drill at the Jersey Nike camp prior to the opening. Not many people can square up and block Micah Parsons. He is a different kind of freak. Jeremy Ruckert can. Jeremy Ruckert's going to start at Ohio State, in my opinion, from day one. He's going to be an All-American. He's going to be 3 and done, and I think he's going to be the first tight end drafted when he decides to go to the NFL. And it's not just because of his ability, but just because he conducts himself in the manner of that as well. I can tell you he's not going to cheat himself at Ohio State. He's going to get every ounce out of Ohio State that he can from a development standpoint, as much as Ohio State's going to get everything they can out of him. Jeremy Ruckert, Nicholas Petit-Frere is my favorite player in the class, but Jeremy Ruckert is a close number 2, just because I just don't see any way in hell he's not a great player at Ohio State. But when you have the number 2 recruiting class in the country, there's a lot of guys that I could go on and on about. I'm intrigued by Josh Proctor. I thought he was really long at the opening finals, and I thought he was really smooth. 6'2", 190 pounds. It'll be interesting to see his growth at Ohio State. And I'm going to just try and talk about some guys that we don't talk about as much.
Great.
I think Cameron Brown and Chris Olave, those are guys that maybe weren't mainstream high-profile receiver recruits, but both of them are unique athletes with a lot of speed and ball skills. So those are sneaky 2 good receivers to go with Cam Babb, who has the largest calves I've ever seen on a high school receiver recruit. I mean, he is a thoroughbred from the waist down. Those are some guys. I think Brian Snead's going to be an instant impact guy at Ohio State, but I still believe that if Master T can get healthy, he's got some freakazoid athleticism. So his long-term ceiling is through the roof. Maybe Ohio State can have a running back combination like we saw at Georgia this past year. And I mean, hell, Georgia was running 3 running backs out there, and they were all terrific. So I think Ohio State has that kind of flexibility. So that would be maybe some things about the class that we haven't talked about as much in the past. I do think that Ohio State believes Matt Baldwin has the stones to be the quarterback at Ohio State, which is an undervalued trait. A lot of these quarterbacks out there are talented, but to be the quarterback at Ohio State, you have to have big stones. It's not even just about ability. It's about being able to handle scrutiny and it's being able to block out noise and being able to make big plays in pressure moments, because there's going to be four ball games a year where you're the favorite, but your team may be on the ropes because it's the Super Bowl for the other team you're playing against, and they're giving you all they got, and you need to make a big play to avoid a tough loss. So I think that they believe Matthew Baldwin has those traits.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the class here. Just, Antoine Jackson, the defensive tackle, is coming over from Blinn Junior College. Yeah. I think he gets on the field right away, if not.
No doubt.
I mean, he's a rotation player right away, if not a starter. And Teron Vincent, I think, has a real chance to contribute early. Jalen Gill. I mean, it really was a fun. I mean, it's hard to say that given the stressful nature of the business, but this was a fun year to follow recruiting for Ohio State. And you can really say that every year now. I mean, the finish was just so. I'm still a little bit in shock that they got Petit-Frere. I mean, having come under the Tressel regime here, I just don't see any way they would have been able to pull that off. I hope people are just appreciative and understanding of what is going on here in terms of recruiting. Yes, George, you got the number one class, but Ohio State has been trading punches with the elite of the elite of the elite for years now. They have now stacked together, 3 or 4 just unbelievable classes. And I continue to say this. I really think one of the things that helps Ohio State more than anyone even makes a big deal out of it is they have guys in the NFL right now who are producing from day one at every single position on the field except quarterback right now. So it's a good thing, a very good thing. Steve, you're in Nashville at the headquarters. We've now going to have to flip the page to 2019. What does a recruiting guy think about now as we open up the year ahead?
I don't want to think about it.
Ha! Too much?
I don't. I'm just ready to go on vacation, going on Friday. I do have to write a 2019 article today, five things standing out. But I'm going to be honest, I'm going to have to reprogram here. I'm going to have to take a shower and reprogram for that article because I'm ready to go on vacation.
Well, you earned it, and we really appreciate it. These Thursday confabs have been great for me. I know hopefully great for the Bucknuts audience. It was another incredible run for the Buckeyes, and the best thing is there is absolutely no sign of this slowing down, people. So we are on one heck of a ride. Have a good one, Bucknutters.
Take care, Daniel. Appreciate you guys.